Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us here at the CNBC Africa Exchange, alongside WEF Africa 2019 here at the Cullinan Hotel in Cape Town. My name is Alexander Leibner, and I'm thrilled to have you join us alongside our live audience here in Cape Town. We're talking a topic that is of both interest and fascination this morning, and October marks 10 years since the start of this technology that has both brought excitement and devastation to many. And we're here to unpack the mysteries of what we've come to know as cryptocurrency. It's been 10 years since we got to know cryptocurrency. Some started a bit earlier, some took a bit longer. And we're now looking at the next 10 years of cryptocurrency. What does it mean to you, to me, and to everybody in the world? Joining me this morning on our panel, I'm going to start from my left. Sean Saunders, co-founder of digital asset management platform Revix Technologies. He's joined by Yeliwe Soko, chairperson for United Africa Blockchain Association, and right at the end there, Marius Rates, general manager in Africa for Luno. Thank you, everyone, for joining me this morning. I think it's a really exciting topic. I think there are so many experts and also so many beginners in the world of blockchain and also the world of cryptocurrency. And I think to kick off, there's 2,000 odd cryptocurrencies. Morris mentioned it before we got going. 1,000 of them are already dead and buried. They never made it out of the starting blocks, or they never really survived for much longer. It kind of feels a bit like 1886 in Johannesburg, when somebody found gold for the first time, and everyone and their dog rocked up and started mining and started looking for this. Some more successful, others not so successful. Sean, let's kick off with you. What's the last 10 years been like in the world of cryptocurrency?
It's been a wild ride. I mean, as everyone knows, in 2017, you saw the crypto market kind of blow up through the sky and then come crashing down in 2018. And that's kind of the way that cycles work, right? Any new technology that comes about, if you're thinking about 5G at the moment, right, there's a lot of hype around it. If you think before that, you had IoT, 3D printing. So any kind of big hype boom cycle really comes with this kind of euphoria. And naturally, when that euphoria kind of settles and you settle into the reality of what's actually going on, you see essentially smart money start moving in, stupid money start falling out, stupid money being, just speculative money that was flying into this market. 10 years has been a wild ride. The next 10 years probably even more exciting.
I mean, you're saying speculative. I mean, we heard people about mortgaging their house, selling their mother-in-law, all kinds of exciting things to try and buy a slice of what was firstly Bitcoin and then became other interesting coins. What's been your outlook on the last 10 years in terms of cryptocurrencies?
I think it's been an interesting time. There's been a lot of misinformation. And I think the market actually experienced a lot of scams as well, because a lot of people came in and promised people they're going to make a lot of money, they're going to be millionaires. So I think we haven't had that much education in the past 10 years. Everybody was looking for the next win, and how do I get in? How do I make the money? I mean, and also I think there's been a lot of entertainment in terms of a lot of companies coming, and everybody, I always say this, especially for Africa, everybody's looking at Africa except Africans. So a lot of people came in and said, you know what, you can mine Bitcoin. Do you know how to mine Bitcoin? They'll tell you, oh, you can put in money and you're going to be making maybe $1,000 a day, or you only need to bring a certain number of people. So I think, is it last year or this year, I think South Africa and Nigeria ranked top in terms of Bitcoin searches, and a lot of people were excited. I was not. And it's because it was for the wrong reasons. South Africans are searching Bitcoin because they want to become rich, and they're getting into scams. Because somebody said, oh, you know what, if you join Bitcoin, you're going to make money. And the next thing they'll be like, what is Bitcoin? And how do I make money? So I think it's been a wild ride. It's been an interesting time. But a lot of good has come out of it as well. I mean, we've seen a lot of projects that have real use cases that can actually change lives. So it's been an interesting time.
Morris, I mean, just to summarize what we've already gone through here, it's been a wild ride of speculation, of excitement, an opportunity to make a quick buck, adopting a new technology. It sounds like the Wild West. What's your last 10 years looked like?
Absolutely. I think it has been around for 10 years, as Sean mentioned, and people often compare cryptocurrency to other technology cycles. And for example, the internet. The idea of the internet was born in the 1970s and only really got to the market in the early 1990s. So people compare cryptocurrency where it is now at this stage to the internet in the early 90s, really. So we're still very much at the beginning. A lot of work has been done and been performed in the market to bring us where we are now. But I think even if cryptocurrencies or Bitcoin were to crash tomorrow, I think it would have served a really important purpose, and that is it challenged people's mindsets. It got people thinking about money, what money really is, and that they actually can have more financial freedom. So I think that is the important lesson, and it has forced regulators, it has forced financial institutions, banks. You're seeing Facebook with their Libra announcement now. It has forced people to think differently, think out of the box when it comes to money.
Well, we're going to touch on that Libra announcement, I think, in the latter part of this conversation, because I think that's sort of looking at the future, and I think that's going to have a major impact as to where cryptocurrency is going. But, Maurice, while we're with you, Luno, part wallet, part trading platform for Ethereum and for Bitcoin. Is it difficult to kind of re-adopt an audience once they've gone through this 2017 spike where everybody was in on it? I mean, you went to any dinner, any cocktail function, people were telling you what to get into, when to get into it, how to do it. A lot of people burnt in the process as well. Is it a bit difficult to kind of get everyone back on the bandwagon and say, look, this was a bit of a part one, part two is coming?
Yeah, so I think if we take a step back and we look at the past 10 years, you'll see that Bitcoin has gone through 12 to 13 of these price cycles, where there's a price rally and a price pullback, a price rally, a price pullback, and it is the ongoing theme for cryptocurrency in general. So the price volatility really isn't something new to cryptocurrency, and that is what people should not invest more than they can afford to lose, etc. But the good thing is, after each price rally, similar to in 2017, there's an organic growth in the user base or people participating in this new ecosystem or economy, for example. So after the 2017 price rally, let's say 1 million new people were introduced to cryptocurrency, whether they lost money or whether they gained money, they were part of the new system, one way or another. So I think that's the important part for us at Luno. Our approach is to make it simple and easy as possible for people to try out cryptocurrency for the first time. And yes, even post-2017 bull run, we still had people interested in signing up for Luno wallets, people buying it for speculative purposes, for investment purposes, people transacting in cryptocurrency. So on a monthly basis, we're seeing people signing up, opening new accounts with Luno. So there really has been no dent in the adoption curve, really.
Sean, you've taken a different approach with Revix. You kind of looked at all of this and said, well, we can either ride one of these coins through all the ups and downs in the market, or we can try and put a whole bunch of them together and try and create some sort of smoother experience. What's been your experience in terms of bringing a managed portfolio of different currencies into the market?
Yeah, so to build on Marius's point, let this sink in for a second. You've got more users interacting with cryptocurrency. You've got more people, working on the mining side of things. You've got more people interacting with crypto in general, right, than you had at the boom at the height of 2017. So if you're looking at it from that perspective, right, and yes, from our side, I mean, I'll get into Revix in a second. From our side, the crypto ecosystem is the strongest it's ever been. Therefore, if there is going to be any speculation in the future, or if there's going to be any killer app or mainstream adoption, you're in a pretty good place now to kind of really ride the wave of real growth. So what Revix has done, essentially, what we decided to do is, you can't pick which cryptocurrencies are going to be the success stories of tomorrow. You can't pick that Bitcoin is going to be the money or the next gold. We can't say that Ethereum is going to be the smart contract mechanism or smart contract Internet 3.0 system that will come in the future. So what we're saying is, own a diversified portfolio of the top cryptocurrencies, own the top 10, or maybe a theme in the crypto sector. So maybe you want to own the smart contract sector, Ethereum, Cardano, Neo, and a few other cryptocurrencies. Or maybe own the top 5 or something along those lines, and that's what we allow people to do. We allow people to own a bundle of cryptocurrencies and get diversified exposure to the market. And then through a rebalancing mechanism, we rebalance your portfolio every single month, so you stay up to date with how the market moves.
And interesting enough, you come from a traditional finance background.
Yeah.
You've moved into the cryptocurrency space now. Were you shunned by your former colleagues when you decided to make this move? Because the traditional investment space is kind of still out as to if this is really something that is that belongs into the traditional financial eco space, or if this is some sort of fringe breakaway idea.
So I remember when I started messing around in crypto in 2013, and you were looking at 20 to 30% price movements per day. That was just the norm, right? Today, you're seeing 2 to 5%, and I mean, that's still pretty significant versus other asset classes. But I said to my colleagues, and listen, this is the best performing asset class over the last 5 years. Today, I can turn around to everyone and say this is the best performing asset class of the last decade. You can't argue with that. But my colleagues would essentially say, or my past colleagues would say to me, how can you call this an asset class? I mean, it's not even worth Netflix in total market cap. So yes, they don't like crypto, I don't think. I think people are it's a divisive subject, right? I mean, even sitting up here today, we can debate the merits of whether or not this actually makes sense in an investment portfolio. But if you're looking at cryptocurrency as an investment option, and you're looking at crypto as an alternative asset in a diversified portfolio, it makes a hell of a lot of sense to actually have it there. It's not correlated to any other asset. There's this ridiculously, it's just, I don't want to be too crazy about this, but there's this really good growth potential that you have where you can earn an outsized return for where you can only lose 100% of your capital. So that makes a lot of sense to include that in a portfolio, generally speaking. And with the low correlation to other assets, yeah, why not?
I mean, one of the big discussion points, and you've just raised it now, is also this debate about what is cryptocurrency really going to do. Is it a transactional thing? Is it something that holds value and it's like a Krugerrand that I'm going to put in my shelf somewhere at home and keep in the sock drawer, and hopefully in some in a few years' time it'll be worth more than it is now. But a lot of people are also talking about the initial opportunity is something that you can a value that you can transfer across borders, and the transaction costs being quite low and also quite easy. And I'm going to come back to you in terms of touching on Africa as well, and Nigeria also having a huge search for Bitcoin. In your observation, are you seeing a lot of people? I mean, we had examples coming out of Zimbabwe as well. Starting to use these currencies as actual transactional currencies, or is it still early days?
I think it's still early days, actually. I think mostly people use it as a store of value because they're thinking, okay, if I hold a number of coins, the price will go up, and in the next few years or in the next few months, it could be worth a lot more, and I could do with it a lot more. So yes, actually, it's been used as a transactional currency for maybe sending value across borders as well. But I don't think that has been the real reason. A lot of people are trading cryptocurrency. So mainly it's because of the value that it comes with. It hasn't really gotten to a point where people just use it mainly as a transactional currency.
Now, this might be a bit of an unfair question, but I mean, you can debate and converse and maybe come to some sort of agreement. But if we had to pick the top 3 cryptocurrencies out of the 2,000 odd that are floating around, is it still Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin, or is that looking a bit different 10 years down the line?
In 10 years' time, I mean, I certainly can't say.
Right now. I mean, if we had to talk right now.
I think it's the same as saying what's the top 3 stocks or the best 3 stocks that exist in the market. I mean, people have different opinions. It depends on what you're buying that stock for. I mean, some people, risk to them is volatility in the price. To other people, that proxy volatility could be not achieving a return, come by retirement or planning for a holiday or something along those lines. So the top 3 cryptocurrencies, I think it's circumstantial on where you're looking at or where you're looking from. And in my opinion, I mean, my speculative opinion here, definitely don't take this as financial advice, I would see Ethereum as having just an incredible opportunity and a use case going down the line. We're dealing with a bunch of security token offerings at the moment. We're trying to essentially tokenize real-world assets and put them onto a blockchain, namely Ethereum. And to see the amount that's going on underneath the hood it's just out of this world. It's really spectacular. And I would just say Ripple, not necessarily from an investment perspective, but what Ripple can actually do in terms of settling interbank transfers in real time, that to me is it's a no-brainer coming from a finance background as well.
I'm seeing some nodding here. Are you in agreement on Ripple and Ethereum? Or?
I would go mainly with Ethereum because there's a lot of use cases that you can build off Ethereum, and also speaking of smart contracts. And people are buying crypto because there's now cryptocurrencies with underlying assets, right? So I'm holding that crypto. It's like I'm holding the value of that asset. I don't really have to move the asset. There's some assets that are sitting in a place, and I'm just holding the value in my wallet. So I think there's different reasons for actually getting into crypto and buying crypto.
Well, Maurice, you've got some skin in the game in terms of Ethereum. I know it's on your platform.
Yes.
And Bitcoin, but is there something that you don't have on your platform where you're thinking, you know what, we should really make a plan to start adding this to the list?
Look, I think it's a case of different horses for different courses, each cryptocurrency with its own use case. I think at this stage, most people buy cryptocurrencies for speculation, right? So not even for investment purposes. A tiny subset of people buying cryptocurrencies invest in it for the long run. So it's mainly speculation. I think currently we're still in an asset class. So yes, the long-term future for something like Bitcoin is to be a global public payment system, right? We have other public infrastructure like the internet, for example, that makes emails, that makes press easy to do and easy to scale across borders, basically. The only public infrastructure we have for money is cash, right? And it's difficult, right? Because you have to do in-person transactions. So the long-term vision for cryptocurrency in Bitcoin isn't really necessarily to be an investment vehicle, right? It's to be a global payment system. And there are a couple of issues at this stage. One is volatility in the price, scalability or acceptance, right? Or distribution. So prices of goods isn't quoted in Bitcoin at this stage. You can't go and buy bread and it's quoted in Bitcoin. So there are a couple of stumble blocks. So what I'm trying to get at is we're currently in an asset phase, but people buy these cryptocurrencies for speculative purposes or for investment purposes. Whether it's Litecoin, whether it's Bitcoin, whether it's Monero coin, and what's happening in this asset phase is we're building the infrastructure for people to buy cryptocurrencies on a safe and secure platform, for example. But also in this asset phase, we're also building the infrastructure for the payments phase. So that is something that will happen in 3 to 5 years' time down the line, where other use cases of cryptocurrencies will come to the fore and will be used.
So it seems 10 years down the line, we're still very much buying into the potential of a lot of these platforms and a lot of these coins rather than the actual practical use. And it kind of seems a bit like it was a bit ahead of its time. I mean, I know it's taken us some time to move from cash to cards. Now we're no longer putting pins in our cards. Now we're just tapping the cards. So it could be another 5 or so years' time before we start seeing us moving away from cards to fully just running with cryptocurrency.
I think even 20 to 30 years, so when you deal with money, there's a trust element, right? So people often refer to cryptocurrency as magic internet money. There is a lot of work that needs to be done on the educational front, and the responsibility is on platforms like Luno and like Revix and on the blockchain associations to provide that education to the public, right? So there are loads of risks at that stage. So I think in general, it'll take probably 20 to 30 years for people to willingly start to use cryptocurrencies for things that they're using rands or dollars or other currencies for at this stage.
Well, let's look at the next 10 years. I mean, it's been, as I say, a wild 10 years. A lot of us weren't even aware about this 10 years. I mean, like you said, it was really 2016, 2017 where everybody suddenly became aware of this magic mystery coin that came out of nowhere. I remember walking into a colleague's office in the early 2000s, and he'd set up a PC and he said, "I'm mining Bitcoin." And nobody knew what that meant, how that worked. I don't even know if he still kept it. It's probably sitting on a hard drive somewhere, locked, and not sure how to unlock it, which a lot of people also experienced. And then suddenly 2017 it became mainstream and it went bananas. But let's look at the next 10 years. And we were talking about Facebook's entry into this space. Sean, let's kick it off from your side and we'll work down the line here. In terms of what are your projections in terms of what this could mean for cryptocurrency going forward?
What it could mean for crypto, I think that's a hard question to really answer. Jumping back to Marius's point, people view Bitcoin as being a peer-to-peer means of transferring value, and I think that's what its initial intention was. And I mean, you've seen hard forks that have happened. Bitcoin Cash has been produced, Bitcoin Cash ABC, and Bitcoin Cash SV, and then there's a whole bunch of other forks that have taken place. And they're all trying to create this next payment network whereby you can send value to anyone around the world or anyone around the world in near real time at near zero cost. And I don't particularly believe, and this is just my opinion, I don't believe that Bitcoin will achieve that, ever. I believe that Bitcoin will replace gold as a store of value. I don't think necessarily, not even replace gold. I think it'll just challenge gold as another way to be able to store value in a way that is censorship resistant and all the other properties that Bitcoin has. What Libra has done and what Facebook's trying to achieve with Libra essentially is to be able to take a bunch of underlying assets and to create a digital token that represents some sort of value. And they're wanting to essentially back this token by putting in some dollars, pounds, euros, yen, and a few other short-term deposits to create a security, essentially, that allows you to then spend this token and be able to interact with their various partners and whatnot. And what I see when I look at that is, wow, there's this opportunity where you can take your investment. So imagine a Naspers share as an example, or imagine a Woolworths share or something like that, and you can spend that by going into the store and spending that. So that, to me, just changes the mindset of people. It changes how you view savings versus investment versus cash. And going 10 years into the future, I personally don't think that Libra will ever launch. I see it as a fantastic opportunity. I think it's a lot of PR that'll go out there, but I don't see it ever getting over the regulatory line in the US.
In agreement, or could this potentially put cryptocurrency into a mass market space?
I believe so. I believe with Libra, it could actually help us with the mass adoption that we've been hoping for, and also with education. Almost everybody is on Facebook. You can look at even people in the village are on Facebook. You see with the blurry pictures, they're actually there. They're saying something. So I believe it actually help us with the mass adoption that we've been actually working on. So it could help in some way.
We've seen a lot of hype around cryptocurrencies over the past couple of years. We initially thought when the news first leaked that, okay, maybe it's just another hype like ICOs, for example. But we actually think there's some value in it. And I think if we look at the current challenges in the cryptocurrency or the Bitcoin market, first is trust. People still don't understand cryptocurrency. Secondly, is distribution, right? So yes, a couple of people use cryptocurrency, but there's no real network effect, right? So you can't send cryptocurrency to someone at Spar or at Pick n Pay, for example. So that's still an issue, right? So if you look at Libra and what it can offer from a trust perspective, it's easy for people to understand cryptocurrency if it's linked to a real-world asset. In Libra's case, it will be linked to a basket of currencies like the dollar, euro, and yen. Secondly, from a distribution perspective, so Facebook currently has, I think, 1.6 billion daily active customers, right? So suddenly you have a network of people who can receive and who can buy these digital assets. And also, which retailer, which online store merchant won't accept Libra coin if 1.5 billion people around the world have access to it, right? So I think it will address a couple of the challenges we're having cryptocurrencies these days, but there are loads of challenges. And firstly is regulatory, and that is what Sean also alluded to, and that is from a financial perspective, from a data perspective, from a competition commission perspective, and then also security, right? So the Facebook system really hasn't been tested at a large scale, right? So we don't know if it's going to be robust enough to process 1.5 billion people's transactions on a daily basis. So I think it has merit, but there are lots of unanswered questions at this stage.
I mean, at the same time, though, it sounds quite optimistic in the sense that governments and regulators are making sure that there is also some sort of playing field that we're doing all these things in, and it's not just the Wild West like it has been, where everyone can just list whatever they want to list and hope for the best, and some of them go forward and some of them don't. We've only got a few minutes left, and I'm going to have to wrap it up at this point, but I want us to quickly finish off with some closing thoughts. And it's the World Economic Forum 2030. We're all here again, all of us in this room, and we're having a jolly time talking about cryptocurrency. And I'd like you to reflect on the past 10 years since 2020. How's cryptocurrency done, and where is it now? Let's kick off with you, Sean.
Sure. So everything that you own right now is tokenized. Your house is tokenized. It is on a blockchain, whether that's an Ethereum blockchain or another blockchain, that's on a blockchain. Your car is held on a blockchain. The ownership of that vehicle is owned on a blockchain. Everything that you're interacting with, whether it be fiat money or an asset that you deal with, you can spend, you can interact with people. This world is going to change in a very interesting way. So come 2030, I already see cryptocurrencies, and maybe not in the way and shape and form that we see them today, but they'll be existing alongside every other asset class and fiat currency, just as a normal daily, another daily asset that you can use.
Fantastic.
Okay, so I think the world is going digital. We cannot run away from that. I think we should just be key stakeholders, especially Africans, right? So I think we should jump on this ship. I mean, the train is already moving. The train has left the station, but there's still enough time for us to be key stakeholders. So a lot of education needs to go into the blockchain space because people still do not understand. They cannot differentiate the two. They actually don't even know the value add that it has on a person's life. They always say, these technologies will come, they will exist, they'll get better. But it has to impact somebody's life. We can talk crypto, we can speak blockchain, we can speak all the lingo that is there, but whose life is it changing, right? So we're actually running a lot of educational campaigns right now. We have a campaign called Reaching and Teaching 1 Million People on Blockchain Technology in Africa. And this is actually to ensure that Africans are key stakeholders in this digital revolution. So I think we should just be aware.
Great. And Maurice, final words from you. We're looking back on the last 10 years. In 2030, what were the last 10 years like since 2020 in cryptocurrency?
Look, I think if you look at the reasons why we see change, firstly is there's a change in mindset. Secondly, there's a change in consumer needs. The consumer needs across the world in terms of demographics and needs changed dramatically over the past couple of years. And there's a technology that is allowing us to meet or satisfy this changing consumer demand. And we think cryptocurrency or decentralized cryptocurrencies, public infrastructure, will be the best vehicle for us to scale or to upgrade money to something that is better. So I don't want to be too left field here, but if we look back from 2020 to now, 2050 to now, we could potentially live in a world where we don't have central banks or we don't have commercial banks, where payments or finance infrastructure will purely be peer-to-peer, where transactions will be conducted between myself and Sean or Yoliwe, completely peer-to-peer without any intermediaries. So that's a future, well, definitely not 10 years, that's 30 to 50 years down the line.
Morris, we're going to have to leave it there. We're out of time, but as you can see, this topic is as long as the blockchain itself. From the CNBC Africa Exchange here at the World Economic Forum in Africa in Cape Town, my name is Alexander Leibner. Thank you to my panel of experts. Thank you to our live audience. Let's give them a big round of applause.